So we're back again for another little tips and questions video. So first of all, a little shout out to one of my viewers who asked for a shout out. Big hello to Sam McIntyre. Cheers for watching all the videos, mate. Appreciate it, buddy, and all the comments and everything. So today's video, what's it about? Little video again. It's about soft lures and mostly perch fishing, but it's exactly the same for perch, pike, zander, that sort of thing. But soft lures, it's a basic one that I get asked. A lot of people starting out, a lot of people buying stuff from my shop, and they'll just ask me what soft lures do I need, and what jig heads. So a typical lure that you might use is this sort of size. You can go smaller, you can go bigger, but for perch fishing, that's a good size. This is a gator perch bait, one of my preferences. However, as you've seen, relaxed copper toe, 2.5 inch, great lures. They're soft lures. There's nothing much different. You look at a copper toe and a gator, a paddle tail. So choose one. Doesn't matter which sort you get. We're going to go gator perch bait and jig heads. So we're going to talk about jig heads and how they can affect your lures. So first of all, rigging it's simple. Some people don't realise how to rig them, but roughly mark out where it is. Let me just see them on. Yeah, I'm on camera. That way. Roughly mark out where your jig head's going to come out. So for a 2.5, 3 inch kind of lure, you're going to want like a 3/0 size hook. But they all come with different size weights. So that's a 5 gram weight. So simply rigging, I'll show the rigging first because people ask me that question. So rigging it, poke it through, you just kind of want to thread it on roughly a third down its body. Every lure is slightly different, but a third down its body. And what you want to do is just push it on. Not easy. Push it on, and you want to have a good bit of hook stuck out, plenty protruding. It might look a bit, for people who've been used to fishing, with smaller baits, so like coarse anglers who are just fishing with a maggot, that sort of thing. That looks like a massive hook, and you probably think it's a bit overkill, but that's what you need. You need to have something stuck out of your bait. So for a perch, any predator chub, that's a good presentation. That's going to stick out as a fish bites it. They've all got big mouths. That's why they're predators. That's just how it should look. I've seen some where there's not much. The hook's too small, and it comes to about this point, and it only just sticks out, and it's not enough. It's not enough. There is other ways of presenting a soft lure, and I've got an whole range of soft lure videos. If you want to troll back through them, I'll put a link on. That shows you how to rig them up the other ways, but a simple way is with a jig head and a soft lure. Simple as that. So that's a 5 gram jig head, and that's kind of a standard weight that I use for fishing most rivers and canals. So you can buy heavier, 10 gram, and you can buy lighter, 2 gram, 3 gram. And what you need to do is you need to think about how that lure is going to be affected by that jig head. So cast it out, cast your lure out, far bank, no whatever. As you lower it to water, we'll do it here. You lower it to water, it's gonna sink. That weight on that lure is going to determine how fast it sinks. So if you've got moving water, or you've got deep water, or you've got shallow water, or you've got still water, it's going to act differently that weight. So again, put a heavier 10 gram. It's going to act differently in all those situations again. So think about how it's going to affect it. So we've cast a 5 gram out, and we've got still water, and your 5 gram is going to hit the water. It's going to probably drop quite fast, straight to the bottom. Yeah, there's no flow affecting that. You will actually get takes on the drop, so watch out for it. Try and keep a tight line, so you're in contact with it, because you will feel the thump as it gets taken on the way down. Perch love to take a lure on the way down. So if we went with a 10 gram, that's not going to come down at this sort of rate. It's going to come down a lot faster. So and it's going to thud on the bottom, bit of disturbance. But you might not need a 10 gram if it's still water, if it's not windy, all that kind of thing. And then again, put let's say a 2 gram, 2.5 gram, 3 gram sort of weight on it's going to come down a lot slower than a 5 or especially a 10. So think about is have a selection of jig head weights to be able to switch it up as for the water. So let's say we've got a windy day. You cast it out, you load it to water. The wind's going to affect that line. It's going to pull on it. It's going to make your lure move. So having a heavier weight, it's going to make your lure stay further away and not get pulled towards you. That's one way to combat it, but then again it's going to still sink faster. So using your jig head is one way of affecting what your lure does, especially just on the drop. Flowing water, if you have too light a jig head, you're going to cast it to this spot, a lovely juicy spot under a tree. Oh, dropped it. You're going to cast your lure to this spot, lovely little juicy spot under a tree, and you're expecting it to sink there. But because of the flow, it sinks over here somewhere, and that's because you've got a 3 gram jig head on. Put a 10 gram jig on, it's going to sink straight away, but it might not look in the water as good as what you want it to do on a 3 gram jig head. So it's all about, you pick all this up with experience, but when you're first buying jig heads, get a selection: 3 gram, 5 gram, 7 gram, 10 grams. Quite a chunky thing, but there's a situation when you need that, especially if you're fishing deeper waters, reservoirs, that kind of thing. I'll use that when I'm fishing 15 foot of water. So on a retrieve, so your lure's now sunk. We've still got a 5 gram at this moment. Your lure's sunk to the bottom, you didn't get a take, so basically just wind it in, and your lure's just going to come and twiddle in. That paddle tail's going to kick away, and it's going to get their attention, and you might get a take like that. So let's say you've got a 5 gram lure, we'd let it sink to the bottom. It's going to start coming up in the water all the way to the end of your rod. Now if you've got a 10 gram weight on it, it's going to stay lower for a longer period before it finally comes up at the end of your retrieve towards your rod. So it's going to stick lower to the riverbed, canal bed, whatever. A 3 gram one is going to lift up more and going to come straight away. So you're going to work the layers differently with a 3 gram, 5 gram, 10 gram. So again, thinking about what size jig head you've got on, what weight jig head. You can mix it up by, if you had a really slow retrieve with a 5 gram, it'll keep it lower. Or you can put a 10 gram and keep it low. So it's how you fish it. So if you wanted to put a 10 gram on to keep it low, you still might need to fish it quite fast to keep it from snagging the bottom all the time. So it's a lot of playing about and learning what lures suit you best and suit your style best and suit your waters, canals, rivers, that kind of thing. So jig heads are really important on what weights you use. Like I say, you can just put a 5 gram on or a 10 gram, cast it out, wind it in. One day you'll catch a fish, another day you've got to work it. So another thing you might do, cast your 5 gram lure out, it'll sink to the bottom, you don't get a take. So rather than just a straight retrieve, what you can do is once it hits the bottom, you can twitch it and it's going to come up and back down. You can pause it if you wish as well at that point. Twitch it again, back up, back down. So a little retrieve, and you're going to bounce it all the way back. So if you've got a 10 gram jig head, when you twitch it and your little crank of the reel, it's going to come up at only half as much as what your previous 5 gram did. So it's going to come up and thump more. So you'll probably do more bounces. Excuse me, that's that pot of tea. You're doing more bounces, but probably not come up as much and less time in the air. So on one day they might want that little bounce, quick bounce across the bottom. Another day they might want that slower one. So again, you want a slower presentation. 3 gram jig head, 3 gram jig head. So when you flick it, it's going to go up even higher, and a slow flutter back down, and then back up, and a slow flutter back down. So again, different weights are going to affect how your lure works in the water. So those are all the things you need to think of. So to start with, get a 2 or 3 inch lure, a size 2.0 or 3.0 hook, and get a few weights and just cast about and see what works best for you. Like I say, flowing water. So you've got a 3 gram jig head in not raging water, but flowing water. It's going to hold its position nice, whereas with a 5 or a 10, it's going to still sink to the bottom. So you can affect what it does in the water just by what that jig head size is. So like I say, I have a 2 gram jig head and that size, sorry, yeah, 2 gram jig head on that size lure, and you can just hold it in the water, and that can be a good method of fishing fast flowing water. You can search across the water, or you can put a heavy 5 gram on, or 7 gram, and float it to the bottom and lift it up and work it round. So think about having different jerkbait, different jerkbaits, jerkbait men, aren't I? Different jig heads to combat the flow, the depth, the wind, the distance, all that kind of thing. And the other thing that will really affect it is we can't really do it with jig heads is your line, like braids, come in different diameters, different diameter braids, basically fatter and thinner. Fat braid, heavy braids got more resistance, so when your lure sinks, you've got all this line to your rod that's cutting through the water, and it's harder for it to cut through the water, so it affects how the lure drops at speed. When you retrieve, that thick braid will hold your lure up more, so you might need a heavier jig head to get it down, or you might have a lighter jig head plus thick braid will keep it up. So it's how you set it up. So one guy who's fishing with let's say £5 line, he's got a really thin braid. The guy's fishing with £10 braid, so it'll affect different with that 3 gram jig head, especially 5 gram. So think about all that. But basically, soft lure fishing, we're not looking at Texas rigging and drop shotting and all this kind of thing. Just a simple jigging. So many ways you can do it, and it's braid to an extent, but mostly a jig head is going to affect how that's going to fish. So when you are fishing, try and picture what it's doing, try and feel what your lure's doing. The rod will help. So much feel in your rod these days. The rod's going to help you, and what you want to do is work out what it's doing. Is it swimming above a foot off the bottom? Is it swimming mid water? Is it bouncing off the bottom? Is it bouncing slow? Quick, shallow ones, it's slow, big flutter, and then work out at that point. So you've got off this 3 gram jig head that comes up and slow flutter down and gets taken here, and that's what we like. So tell your mate, switch to a 3 gram, that kind of thing. But work out what it's doing. So some days cast it out winding, other days the jig head is your key. So get a selection, don't buy loads, buy a pack of 3 gram, 5 gram, 7 gram. That's got your options there, and just see what works for you. And that's jig fishing, simple.